Good morning, everyone. I'm Liz Janiak, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to PICC's annual meeting. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I am so delighted to welcome such a large group of folks today for a wonderful program. Before we get started, we're actually going to have a Zoom poll to see who is in the audience. So feel free to click off your primary role on the poll that's appearing on your screen right now. All right, it looks like we have a robust cross-section of folks, mostly involved in clinical care, and we're delighted to have you here today. So we want to welcome you. Thank you for joining us. And I am excited to begin the meeting by just acknowledging our incredible team that put today together. We'll have many more thanks later on throughout the day and at the end. But in particular, I want to acknowledge our principal investigator, Dr. Catherine White, for all her work in creating today's program. And because Dr. White's not able to join us today, the last session that we had originally planned for the day, which was the disrespected methods of contraception, has been postponed, and our program will end at 1 p.m. today. We'll be showing the agenda and repeating that later, but just so you know, we've shortened the program a bit. So as we welcome you to our annual meeting, I'm going to begin by just reviewing a little bit about what PICC is. PICC is a 5-year program funded by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and it's enacted in partnership with the state's birth hospitals. We provide education, training, and technical assistance to expand and sustain the capacity of hospitals statewide to provide contraceptive services. And we offer the opportunity to partner in depth with hospitals and their affiliated practices to conduct education and quality improvement activities in the areas of our 5 core pillars, which I'm going to walk through in a moment. We also offer statewide programming that includes webinars, an annual meeting where you all are today, of course, a newsletter, our media consultation service, and our website, which is open to any interested person and free of charge. So our mission is to promote excellence and equity in contraceptive care through provider education and practice transformation. And I'm going to talk about the 5 pillars on which we focus our programming in particular. The first is postpartum contraception, including, but not exclusively, immediate postpartum LARC. And we know that this is an area of improvement, in particular for many hospitals, not just throughout the Commonwealth, but really throughout the nation, that are still learning how to implement this in their practices. We also focus on improving access to emergency contraception. We know that patients need emergency contraception when their methods failed or when they use a method inconsistently. And EC needs arise quickly, and providers need to be able to respond in kind. We provide assistance for providers and administration staff in providing EC as soon as possible, including tools to assist patients in selecting which form of EC is right for them. We also focus on same-day contraception and access of all methods. Providing a contraceptive method on the same day a patient is counseled and decides which method they would like is a patient-centered best practice. But I think those of you in clinical care know that's easier said than done. And so there's a lot of technical assistance to get practices to the point where they can actually enact that best practice. We also focus on patient-centered contraceptive counseling. A patient's decision to decide what type of contraception to use is deeply personal and affected by health, family, and life course. We assist providers in having contraceptive counseling conversations that are educational, respectful, engaging, and above all, patient-centered. Another pillar is our pregnancy intention and contraceptive needs assessment, which we call PICCK. We see every clinical encounter as an opportunity to identify a patient's contraceptive needs. And whatever the reason for the visit, a simple inquiry about their pregnancy intentions can trigger a conversation with a provider about birth control options and pregnancy planning. So we work with sites to integrate this question into their current practice intake forms and workflow, So I mentioned that we offer intensive engagement with a limited number of sites at a time, this on-site and more intensive provider education and technical assistance. And some of the site partners that we've worked with so far are featured on this slide. We're currently engaged with 19 sites. And while we primarily work with hospitals, we're also working with practices and clinics affiliated with hospitals, with family planning health centers and professional organizations. And we are currently in active recruitment for more sites right now. We have 1 more year of implementation, so we'll be doing our last wave of active recruitment this fall. This map shows the 19 sites that we're currently partnered with. And you can see that they are distributed throughout the state, and we will continue to partner with new sites across the state. We also mentioned earlier our statewide activities, and I want to give a brief overview of what some of those activities entail. So our statewide activities are free and available to all. We have monthly webinars, which are available for CME credit. Our annual meeting today, of course, is also eligible for CME and CNE credit. We have our media consultation service, which is a customized, bespoke concierge type of service that will do an assessment of the inclusivity of patient-facing media for your practice. We have a biannual newsletter, and we archive all of our materials, including toolkits as well as patient-facing education materials that we've designed on our website to make them available free to anyone at any time that you need them. So in terms of what to expect for today, here's our agenda. We are delighted to welcome our keynote, Loretta Ross, shortly after I finish my remarks here today. And we will be proceeding with our agenda as planned up until 1 p.m. when we will, as I mentioned earlier, be ending early and saving our presentation on the disrespective contraceptive methods for another day. We have an array of speakers from across the country, and this whole time we will always be in the same Zoom room. We don't have breakout sessions planned for the day. This agenda is also posted on our website if you need to refer to it. In terms of technology, we already had one poll to get you in the mood for using polls, and there will be other polling questions by other presenters throughout the day. You can enter questions, comments, and feedback in the chat box. We do have staff who will be monitoring the chat so that our speakers are not actively, are able to focus on their presentations and are not monitoring it. And our staff will read questions out loud to the speakers at the end of the presentation based on what you've written. We ask that you please stay mute, but we do encourage you to turn on video as you are able and to use reactions as you wish. Please place your pronouns next to your name on the screen as I have done. You can do that by clicking on, if you hover over the picture of yourself, you'll see a little box on the upper right-hand side with 3 dots. That's where you can rename yourself in Zoom and place your pronouns next to your name. And we do have closed captioning available. If you have any technical difficulties, we've highlighted here Madeline, who is one of our staff members who can help you with those issues, but also feel free to write any issues in the chat, and our staff will follow up with you as needed. So we also just wanted to make sure that you know where to navigate to our resources for today. This is our annual meeting website URL. You're probably familiar with it if you've made it all the way here to the meeting today. If any of the resources mentioned throughout today's session interest you and you'd like to download them, you can find them by visiting our website or in the Google Drive folder that Christina will be putting a link to in the chat. We will also have some of the PowerPoints shown today shared in the Google folder within the next few days. And some recordings of today's sessions will also be available on our website within the next week. We'll email everyone who came today to let you know when they're live. Lastly, and very importantly, we want to make sure that those of you who are looking for CME and CNE credit know how to claim that credit. So in order to receive CME or CNE for your participation today, you have to complete the evaluation form at the end of the day. And in the last question, select that you wish to receive CME or CNE credit. PICCK will send you a certificate directly via email, and you can expect your certificate within 2 weeks. If you're unable to complete the evaluation at the end of the meeting, you will receive an email from us with a link to the evaluation form at a later date.